Well, hello, kids. Yes, that time again. And I'm outside. They like the bike trail. It's mostly peaceful. But it is, once again, that time for an episode of the Bible and an atheist point of view. Hi, Shua, your host. I'm reading from the Bible. The new entry. Well, honestly, I don't know what version it is. It's a Gideon Bible, so it doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck? I'm reading from this cover to this cover, one chapter at a time, one chapter per video, all the way through the motherfucker, because I find the thing absolutely hysterical. I mean, really, it's funny. I mean, funny. You'll see. Of course, I will ad-lib here and there and make it as funny as I can, because, let's face it, this thing is fucking boring. I guess I'm just easily amused. Anyways, let's go ahead and start that bumper music. Yeah. Where I left off is Deuteronomy, Duty Trophy, chapter 33, verse 1. This is the blessing with which Moses, the man of God, blessed the people of Israel before his death. Of 1 billion years old or some shit like that, right? Verse 12, he said, the Lord came from Sinai and dawned from Seir upon us. He shone forth from Mount Paran. He came from the 10,000th of holy ones. 10,000. Realized they were using metrics back then. With flaming fire at his right hand. Sounds like something out of Street Fighter, huh? Arento! Verse 3, yes, he loved his people. All his holy ones were in his hand. Ew. So they followed in your steps, receiving direction from you. Verse 4, when Moses commanded us the law as a possession for the assembly of Jacob. Verse 5, thus the Lord became king in Jeshurun. Jeshurun. Then the heads of the people were gathered, all the tribes of Israel together. All the heads? Why didn't he take their bodies too? Verse 6, let Reuben live, not die, but let his men be few. Reuben. What's Pee-wee got to do with this? Verse 7, and this he said of Judah, hear, O Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him into his people. With your hands contend for him, and be a help against his adversaries. Be a big helper. Come on, Mom needs a big helper. God needs a big helper. Verse 8, and the end of Levi he said, give to Levi your Thummim and your to your godly one, the rocks, the holy rocks, whom you tested at Massah, with whom you quarreled at the waters of Meribah. Verse 9, who said of his father and mother, I regard them not. I regard them not. He disowned his brothers and ignored his children, for they observed your word and kept your covenant. Verse 10, they shall teach Jacob your rules and Israel your law. You gotta kill whenever somebody breaks the law. That's pretty much the law. They shall put incense before you and a whole burnt offerings on your altar. Wonderful. Mag champa and hamburgers, yum. Verse 11, bless, O Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Crush the loins of his adversaries. Kick them in the nuts. You heard it. Kick them in the nuts. Of those who hate him, and they will rise not again. Will die. They're bent over holding their crotch. I wouldn't be able to rise for a while either if I got kicked in the nuts. Verse 12, of Benjamin he said, The beloved of the Lord dwells in safety. The high God surrounds them all day long. The high God. I want to hang out with the high God. Come on, puff past Jesus. What the fuck? And dwells between his shoulders. Well, that's where I usually be hitting the joint at, yeah. Verse 13, and of Joseph he said, Blessed by the Lord be his land with the choicest gifts of heaven above. Choice, man. Got some choice gifts, man. None of the apple crap. And of the deep that crouches beneath. Verse 14, with the choicest fruits of the sun and the rich yield of the months. The rich yields of the months. Okay. Verse 15, with the finest produce of an ancient mountains and the abundance of everlasting hills. And they have eyes. An abundance of everlasting hills with eyes. Verse 16, with the best gifts of the earth and its fullness and the favor of him who dwells in the bush, may these rest on the head of Joseph, on the pate of him. The pate? Not even a fucking word. I googled that other word. It didn't make sense. Google didn't know what the fuck it was talking about. May these rest on the head of Joseph, on the pate of him. You're late, Pate. Who is prince among his brothers? Verse 17, firstborn bull. The rest are bullshit. He has majesty in his horns and are the horns of a wild ox. Well, then he's not really a bull now, is he? Wasn't the King James Version just called a unicorn? With them he shall gore the peoples, all of them, to the ends of the earth. Oh, it's good old Yahweh, showing his love. All up to the ends of the earth. They are the tens and thousands of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. Verse 18, and Zebulun, he said, Rejoice, Zebulun. Hallelujah. In your going out, and Issachar in your tents. Your picture tents. Verse 19, they shall call peoples to their mountain. There they offer right sacrifices, for they draw from the abundance of the seas and the hidden treasures of the sand. The hidden treasures of the sand. I didn't know they had metal detectors back then. But God made it happen, right? You will scavenge. Verse 20, and the Gad, he said, Gad, egad. Blessed be he who enlarges Gad. Blessed be he who gives Gad a heart on. Gad crouches like a lion. He tears off arm and scalp. What? Next verse 21. He chose the best of the land for himself, for there was a commander's portion was reserved. And he came with the heads of the people. With Israel he executed the justice of the Lord, and his judgments for Israel. Okay, verse 20. Verse 22, and end of Dan. He said, blame on Dan. Dan is a lion's cub that leaps from Bashan. Is he now? Isn't that just so poetic? Verse 23, in the Naphtali, he said, oh, Naphtali, sated with flavor. Sated with flavor? Sated? What? Oh, can't you just... fucking dummies. Then full the blessing of the Lord possess the lake and the south. What about the northeast and west? We're only going to possess the south. Okay, whatever. Verse 24, and of Asher, he said, most beloved of sons be Asher. Let him be the favorite of his brothers. Let him dip his foot in oil. Why? Dip his foot in oil? That sounds kind of kinky. I didn't realize they had a foot fetish back then for foot in oil. Be more useful if you dip your dick in it. Verse 25, your bar shall be iron and bronze, and as your day, so shall your strength be. So your strength is going to weaken as the day ends? I mean, that's what I gathered from it. What do I know, right? I'm just a fucking atheist. Verse 26, there is none like God. O Jeshurun, who rides through the heavens on a white horse, a unicorn. To your help, through the skies in his majesty, on a unicorn! Why not? If I was reading another version of the Bible, that's probably what it said. Verse 27, the eternal God is your dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Does that mean you get everlasting handjobs? And he thrust out the enemy before you and said, destroy! Yeah, that's Yahweh for you. Verse 28, so Israel lived in safety. Jacob lived alone in a land of grain and wine, whose heavens dropped down dew. Oh, they got dew. That's all I live on, man. I'm telling you, Mountain Dew. As long as they have dew. Last verse in this fucking chapter. Verse 29, happy are you, O Israel, O Israel. O Israel. Who is like you, a people say, by the Lord, in the shield of your help and the sword of your triumph. Your enemies come falling to you, and you shall tread upon their backs. Oh, what a shot. Ooh. And I add another mark to the post. Well, kids, once again, this is Shua, and this has been the Bible and an Atheist point of view.